Hey everybody, my name is Rydo, and today we're doing a little bit of a research project for myself and for my channel. Now, what's been going on is I've been covering the LEGO series of games, and this that you're looking at right now is LEGO Star Wars: The Complete Saga, which is the first licensed LEGO game and really kind of the first in the series that's important uh, to come out. And I've already played it all the way through, and I didn't have any troubles with it at all. And now what's happening? We do have enhanced graphics off right now. This is interesting. But we have everything else on, and I think initially the idea why I had enhanced graphics off is it actually looks better with enhanced graphics off for some people. So I'm not playing this game. What I'm trying to figure out is there something with my new computer? Because when I played this, I played it on a gaming laptop. Or is there something wrong with the LEGO series of games as they continue forward? I'm going to go ahead and skip a lot of things. I'm going to try to avoid Content ID because that happens a lot, and that's part of the reason why I was even able to sort through my massive number of videos, is because I was able to seems like every year, or because Disney well, here we go. We've got a lag. So I played all the way through this series on my gaming laptop, and it didn't work. And it never lagged, as far as I can tell. And it seems like immediately the video player has a problem on my Windows 10 PC built. So there's either something wrong with Windows 10, it seems. These are my estimations. There's either something wrong with Windows 10, there's something wrong with my GTX 970, which the GTX 970 video card does have less RAM than it's supposed to have, or how could you better explain it? Well, they kind of did a bait and switch on it, and there was a rebate thing, and here we have a lockup where there's there's 3.5 gigabytes of fast RAM in the GTX 970, and here's another lag. Oh, and it is bad too. It is bad here. So this is exactly what I needed to do, is find out if there was something wrong with my PC, and I should have done this a long time ago. So now I kind of have to offer some heartfelt apologies. I've complained about the game lagging. Inherently, I suppose this is part still Steam's fault for selling me the game and not putting up a warning saying there's a known issue, unless this actually is an unknown issue where I am the only person having this problem at all. There's really nothing special about my configuration as far as I know. Like, I don't think I did anything, and I just loaded this and reinstalled this from Steam, so all the settings, all the save files either were automatically generated, or they simply didn't happen. So what this puts me at is in a weird position. I need now to stop covering Lego games. And yeah, I guess this is also to say that there's that I may not cover Lego games, and even though I own several and I wanted to continue down this series, I'm going to wrap up Lego Star Wars 3, and then until I get a new video card and try that, which won't be anytime really soon, it's just on a permanent hiatus because it's not fair to the game, and it's really not fair or fun to me to have to sit here and talk about lag when it can be avoided. Or maybe it can't. I may very well, the next Lego thing I record may just be me trying a new video card out and finding out it's still lagging, and then I would have to assume it's either my computer or Windows 10 in itself. Now, we're not seeing a lot of lag here, and there is a drastic inconsistency. For instance, Lego Harry Potter as a series ran horribly. Just runs horribly. It lags almost constantly. It's unplayable. Whereas a lot of the other Lego games, even with the lag, it's not that bad. It's not acceptable by any means, but it's still not bad enough. Here, you can see as an example here, we've been going 6 minutes in this level, and it just kind of lagged at the very beginning, and then it kind of stopped. And this is the first game, and it does feel like as the series of Legos go further, and the PC ports seem to get handed off to other people that don't seem like they do as good of a job of making the PC ports. Now, specifically, I still moderately like the Lego series, but there is totally some things to consider here. Like Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, I can unequivocally say, play that on a console, it should run fine. I originally played all of these on a console, and of the good Lego games, those are fun to play. But then there's some bad ones out there too. Some really awful ones like Lego The Hobbit isn't even finished, so you don't even get the ending DLC on PC, but you could get that on console and get the whole thing. But also Lego The Hobbit's not really one of the good ones. In fact, it's kind of hard to find the good ones versus the bad ones, because there's definitely some trouble here. You can see my 100% save file moved over. And that's what I want to load into here and get back to the menu. So let's go ahead and quit, and hopefully that doesn't quit us to the desktop. So let's now load our 100% game and see if things get more laggy. I did see a little bit of lag, but the vast majority of that, no, didn't happen. You see, we're at 4 billion studs, I believe. Yeah, we're at 4 billion studs, and that's the maximum. That might be in part the problem. This is an area where you would think you would have the highest amount of chaos if you were going to run into a lot of lag, and I'm not really seeing it. There's things here happening. Let's see if we can artificially turn on enhanced graphics. And I would have to restart. We'll just run in here and play. Well, I guess if we're gonna do proper testing, I need to go play the first level again. And see if maybe... It'd be strange if there's something like internally on my PC, my gaming PC, that didn't mess with this. Well, I guess we'll... Now we need to replay story mode, since that's the only thing we could do. Let's just go ahead and skip this with the start button. And see, it's lagging up and it's locking, particularly in the video player, which you would think would be the easiest thing in the world to do. And yet, it's having trouble there. And I've seen some other video games, older video games, have this issue too. For instance, Darksiders, the original version, the video player doesn't play the videos at all. It just skips them. So you start the game, it has about 30 minutes of cutscenes in Darksiders to explain everything, and all of that is gone. Every bit. In the original version, and they made remasters of the versions, and this is exactly, it kind of lagged up right there at the same place. It's exactly what the Lego series needs, is they need to remaster or remake a lot of their games. Like, you could do a remaster of the complete saga and not change anything, but then they need to take the profits from making the remaster and selling that, and they need to remake like Lego Lord of the Rings, Lego The Hobbit, let's see, some other really bad ones. Lego Jurassic World is very crashy. Games have gotten crashier and crashier in different versions of their engines, and here's the issue. While I'm seeing a little bit of a lag in this really old game, which is the oldest of the Star Wars, the one where it would be the most acceptable while still not really being acceptable, we've run through this level and I have nowhere near the amount of lagging and frustration that I've seen in more modern games. The more modern Lego games seem to push something even harder, and my next thing is I'm gonna take I need to play the newest of my Lego games and see if maybe they fixed it. Because if they fixed it, then I could play the new ones. But there still is an element here, and this bug has been haunting me for a lot of times, and it's very hard to be critical of the game separately and the problems in level design, the problems and laziness sometimes that just occurs that's not built around the lagging, when the lagging also happens, and that becomes my primary focus. Like, but see, we've run through this entire level, and it's nothing. Guess I don't actually need to do that. Like, even things like standing on switches here actually seems like your partner has better AI than in future versions of the of the Lego series, not the Star Wars series. And see, yeah, that's not an unacceptable. That's totally playable. I don't want to say it's not unacceptable, because it is unacceptable for a bug to exist and stay existing in a world of nowadays where we can patch things and get it running. And you would think with a PC like mine, which is built many years since this game has been was created and came out, you would think that those things were could be at the very least overpowered out of anything. And I'm not sure that the fact that I have extra power isn't actually hurting the performance. So I'm gonna go ahead and quit the Windows and relaunch the game. So with the enhanced graphics, let's see if that does anything. And I can't, of course, play the entire game all the way through as we're experimenting here, but... And you can see the loading is really long. But that's not something to be really upset about. So 2005 is the copyright. So if this game came out in 2005, you're talking, my PC is 12 years older, or 11 years older. We'll just go ahead and load this, but before we load, let's double check our video settings. Enhanced graphics are now on. The refresh ratio, it's from the screen resolution. It's getting the aspect ratio, which should be 1080p. All the effects are up except for FSAA, which I guess that's why I had the enhanced graphics turned off. So I suppose I need to revise it and say that maybe I will play even through a few more. At this point, wow, lag immediately. Here's the problem. Modern games, you turn off the enhanced graphics, it still lags. So that doesn't solve it. So if this is the GTX 970, they could put out a patch, or they could put out a warning that just says this game runs poorly with the GTX 970. It could be that I just have a powerful enough CPU and GPU that's creating... this game is trying to run at 60 frames per second. If it was creating, say, 300 frames per second, which is not unheard of, or not impossible at least, perhaps the games just can't handle getting rid of those extra 240 frames every second. And so, but that's really blaming the program, the video card, when you should still just blame the program. I've played so many other games on this computer and it is run perfectly fine, perfectly smooth. The Witcher 3, very heavily demanding. It's the game I got when I started, when I bought this video card, and it ran perfectly well except for in one place at ultra settings. And in that one place I just turned it down from ultra to good settings and it was fine. And a GTX 970 is a pretty old card. Nowadays it would be helpful for me to upgrade to a Titan X, and I'm gonna see if I can replace my card with the next generation so I can skip a generation. See, and there's a little bit of lag in the exact same place on the video. But there's really no counting if the lag gets worse in time if we just leave the game running. But compared to Lego Star Wars 3, the lag immediately starts. Even in like less than a minute from loading into a fresh load, the lag immediately happens. And with the enhanced graphics, I don't know if it actually looks any better. This is a pretty short level. It's a pretty good tutorial level too, and there's definitely some elements that get forgotten and changed throughout the series of the Lego games, because elements and cool ideas get done once and then they're totally forgotten forever, and you never see them in another game. And the story in the level, eventually they go from them being comedic and silent, which only kind of works in the complete saga, because all the other games they try to be funny and there's a few funny gags, but it doesn't play usually, and a lot of times they're just mostly serious. So they start having the minifigs talk, which is a good idea, except for when they did it in Lego Lord of the Rings and they just cut the audio clips out from the movie and it sounded awful. That's one of the criticisms that I wish I could focus on, but the lagging is taking my attention away from. And so yeah, I'm not doing a ton of things in this level, and it's possible and likely that the first half of games are going to be that. Look, the enhanced graphic orb doesn't look as good. I recently ran into an instance on Lego Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars where, because enhanced graphics had to be off to try to reduce the amount of lagging, not curing it, or even getting it as low as we see it here, I turned off enhanced graphics, and because enhanced graphics were off, I assume there was a hint to a puzzle that was just not visible at all. And so I spent a very frustrating 20 minutes trying to figure out what the game was asking me to do, and I had no chance of ever figuring it out, so I had to go look up the answer online, just because the clue was missing. And see, R2 C3PO should show up over here in a second. Let's try to keep an eye. Oh yeah, there he is. He's programmed to walk over in this corner, which isn't the best place for him to be. It would have been better if he walked right here and stayed there, and then you would probably get a better view of him. I don't know if this really is C3PO or a different unit. I think it's not actually C3PO. And again, we've played this level 3 times and it's not unplayable. A lag in one place each time, and that's it. And so inherently this bug continues to haunt me. There is something definitely wrong with my setup. I will want to get a new video card. I'm not sure I really want to get a new video card to play what I think is just 3 remaining Lego games. So I may just struggle through the lagging things. It's possible on any of the games in my Steam library, or that I own on PC at all. It's possible that any of them could run on a new computer worse. It's possible that any of them could run on an older, a new computer better. I can't take my setup and replay every game I've ever played every time I get a new setup. Most of the games I've played on my channel are with my new gaming PC, but the very early ones were on a gaming laptop, which a gaming laptop in itself is a pretty underpowered computer. Even though it's not something like a Chromebook that probably wouldn't run half the games, or would run them very poorly. And here we have another lag. And so you can almost attribute it to the fire explosion there. This is what I've been experiencing. Very consistent lagging. And so I guess I'm going to have to just test games. And if I see any of the Lego games that have lag, I'm going to see how bad they are. I'm going to play the most modern one I have and see if maybe that got fixed. If it does get fixed in the newest one, that does go to say that they know that there's a problem and corrected it, or they corrected some other problems and they fixed it. But if it's still happening on the most one, somewhat unfortunately, but also fortunately, since Lego has gone to Lego, what is it called? Lego Dimensions? Yeah, that's the name of it. They've really abandoned the PC market completely, because Lego Dimensions is not available for PC. It doesn't seem like it ever will be. It requires plugging in a portal of power and having actual little Lego minifigs with NFC chips in them, so you can switch the characters around. It adds, or kind of forces into the gameplay elements, actually manipulating real world action figures. It's part of the Toys to Life concept that has kind of succeeded and now not grown to a massive success. So, but ever since TT Games and Lego started focusing on that, they haven't done too much interest on making any more Lego games. They made Lego The Force Awakens as its own separate game, and let's see, I think that might be the last one they made. They're remaking Lego City Undercover, and that is one that I've kind of promised to already do, because one of my viewers asked me. I said I'll eventually do it, and I guess I'm not really going past the letter of that statement if I say, well, eventually I probably will play it, but I'm gonna wait till I get a new video card. I'm gonna have to do some thinking. I'm gonna have to definitely consider some things here, and while the lag is not terrible, it certainly is showing up here, and it wasn't showing up when I was playing on the gaming PC. And I'm sure people would say, well, why don't I just go back and play it on the gaming PC? I could do that, but it would be a mess. It would be very, very difficult for me to move over my new microphone and my Xbox 360 controller, which honestly you're not going to want to play a game like this on mouse and keyboard. The interface is awful, which is just more of an argument to play this on 360. You can go get copies of these used for probably less than $10 for Lego games, and then play them on a used 360 and very cheaply let kids, and this is a kids game, let's not forget, experience it much better than playing it on PC. It's a shame. This is really one of those examples of how the PC market is being left out. So there is one thing I would like to do. In Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars. As a side note, before we wrap up, because I'm just going to have to think about it, and I've learned. I'm not going to play this level again, but I want to go into free play. In LEGO Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars, there is a kind of shameful male to female ratio. And part of it certainly comes from the movies and the Star Wars universe itself. It's pretty heavily male to female in the original trilogy. It's pretty heavily male to female in the prequels. But the Clone Wars is a much more modern cartoon, and they specifically did have 2 female aliens as the main characters. But still, in the game, it was 15 to 3. For every 18 people, 15 were male, 3 were female. Shameful. Particularly since many of them were characters that were just troopers. And even in this game, but more recently, it would be so easy to just change the skin a little bit and go from sand trooper to female sand trooper and clone trooper or stormtroopers. All of those characters could easily have female versions since they're general people. I'm not saying have a female Darth Vader. I'm saying since this is an unnamed character, it's real easy to make the argument that there's a female version of that. You could also stretch it a little bit and say maybe those are females under the masks, but who knows. So here you have several clones and several stormtroopers that can be female. Inherently, there's also a heavy droid to human version ratio. It's about 40 to 60%. No, it's not 60% droids, but it's about 40% droids, I would guess. And the game is locking up in the menu, so just the background star field is locking it up, which just kind of is silly in itself that they're more focused on this. So I just want to count here. We have Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, and Jar Jar. I assume Jar Jar is male. I would also say C-3PO looks male, so he counts. Whereas I would say R2-D2 doesn't look like a human at all. So not only is R2-D2 not technically an android, even though they're called droids in the series, I would just say he's genderless because he doesn't look human at all. So we have 4 females, 4 males and 1 female first. Queen Amidala, and then 5 males to 2 females with Padme. Skip R2-D2. Anakin is a boy, so we'll include him because there should be boys and girls too. So that's 6, 7, 8 to 3 now, 9, 10 to 4, 5. I assume Yoda is male. So 11 to 5. Let's see, 12 to 5, 13 to 5, 14 to 5, 15 to 5, and a lot of these characters, and I assume Chewbacca's male too, and 16 to 5. So it looks like there's about the same amount of characters per line in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga as there is here. There may be an extra line or 2 missing in general, but it seems about the same character. And the ratio is a little bit better, though. It's 5 to what I assume is 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, interesting. One more. So 5 out of 19 versus 3 out of 18. That's a better deal. There's 1 female in the second row. There's another female. Even though it's Princess Leia over and over again, at least it's Princess Leia in different outfits, which is also happening with the other characters. And they kind of stopped doing that in future versions of Legos. Instead of having them in different character outfits, it's different characters a lot more. Let's see, 4. And Princess Leia, 5. Another 5. And then when you start talking about these aliens, I assume, who knows? So we kind of ignore this. Zam Weasel, I think, is a female. So 1 there, 2. Yeah. There's only 2 on this row, but take note that there's also a heavy number of droids on this row. And once we start getting into the droids, you see a lot of them. So 1, 2. I assume Kit Fisto is a male, but it might be a female, so it's kind of skip. Lumeria is a female. All these characters are in the Clone Wars, Lego Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So, but I still think it's based off the cartoon, the Clone Wars cartoon, because there's just so much happening that isn't shown in this game. In a lot of ways, if this game had come out earlier, later in time, Lego Star Wars 3 would have just been DLC with a whole nother set of things. And that's what Lego Dimensions is trying to do, is it's trying to have one platform where just DLC gets added on to add more story and add more things. There's a lot more custom characters in Lego Star Wars 3. Instead of 2, you have, I think, almost 15 different slots where you can make custom characters. And Indiana Jones has no point in being here. It's not too bad, although these last couple of runs did have slightly less, so it still might be hitting about the same ratio, but honestly it feels like there's more females in this, and so they got worse. And I guess inherently that falls on the story creators, and it's something we're almost certainly not going to see in the case of Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, Episode 7 The Force Awakens. They're going to try to be a lot more balanced there. I haven't actually watched the movie, but I know the main female character is the main character, which is a good start, and that there are bad guys and stormtroopers that are of both genders, and so all of that helps a lot. And now that Disney owns Star Wars, they're not gonna they've said they're not gonna do any more Slave Leia stuff, so we'll never see another minifig that's got this little clothing on, which the back of the legs look different. I think they make the holes that are supposed to lock a minifig into chairs so you can make them sit down and lock it. That's why they have the 4 holes in the back of the legs. They've made that less prominent, or maybe not even apparent at all, in the more modern Lego games. And then also the hips are very weird. The way the legs twist couldn't possibly be done with an actual minifigure. So if we come to the child legs, which are shorter, I think they all kind of look like that now. Child legs also don't have holes in the back, so they can't sit in chairs. You have to lock them down. Anyways, I am kind of just going off on a tangent, and I have been. So, yeah. There's something with my new PC, definitely, that is causing the game to lock up. And I have to offer heartfelt apologies, a professional correction here, saying there is something with my new setup that's causing lag that is not observed when I played it on my gaming laptop. That being said, this is a normal PC. It's not some experimental thing. This is built with normal parts that anybody is likely uh, to actually build a PC. And there's no warning and there's no patch. Uh, if the warning is that the recommended settings are my computer is above the recommended settings, that's not a valid argument in my book, because anybody could say, well, it worked on this 10-year-old PC perfectly, therefore that's the only way we support it. And I'm sure they're not supporting these games at all. It doesn't seem like they ever had any intention to. I like the Lego series on a few of the games. The Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga is a great example of that. Lego Marvel Superheroes is another good example of a good one. But then there's some bad ones in the mix too. It's up and down, and it's kind of just in general a shame. And I'm going to have to think real hard, and I'm going to play every Lego game before I start recording going forward, and see how much lag I'm willing to put up with, because it's definitely a problem that I've had, a problem that other people can have, a problem that should be pointed out, but it is definitely also overwhelming the rest of my reviews of the games. And if it is just going to be a rage quit inducing scenario where I'm just gonna should quit and I'm just being stubborn, I think from going forward I am just gonna quit and just say, sorry, I can't play this game on my current setup. Maybe in a couple of years I'll get a new video card, everything will be fixed, it'll run perfectly, maybe I'll go back and play a few of the Star Wars games again, but I don't know what the future holds. That's going to be it for this video. I hope it was informative. It certainly helped me a little bit, and I hope you found it interesting. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.